It's hard because there's a big waiting list to speak to people, you know. But I was like, fuck it, man, you know. That's what they say. They say, just talk to someone. That's what they say. Just talk to someone. I think they should change that to talk to the right person. Don't just talk to anybody. Some people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I have these pals, right, and they're like keto people. They're like the gut-mind connection, you know. They're always talking about like don't eat bread. I said to my pals, like, I'm really fucking depressed. And he was like, have you tried cutting bread out your diet? I was like, I don't think that's going to help the fact I don't love myself. And bread's the only thing fucking keeping me going, you know. I ended up talking to my mum about it. Jesus Christ, man, she doesn't know me, you know. It's my mum. You know, she brought it up. Basically, when you could go around to your mum and dad's again, I went round with my girlfriend, and my girlfriend went to my mum and dad's house. My girlfriend and my dad stayed in the house. Me and my mum went to go pick up some Chinese food from a place in Bailson Main Street called Tiger Lee. If you're ever in the area, phenomenal salt and chili chicken balls. And we were driving there, and I was in the passenger seat, and my mum was in the driver's seat. She was driving, and she went, listen, I've been speaking to people in my work, and they say that apparently now you need to talk to your kids about mental health, and I don't know anything about that because I grew up in the 70s and we don't talk about stuff like that. But, you know, your girlfriend told me that you peed yourself. And then I told everybody in my work that you peed yourself, and they think I should talk to you about it. I was like, okay, Mum, a lot of what you said makes me quite upset there, but yeah, you know, I'm not doing too good with the old mental health. I just don't know who I am. You know, I've lost my job. And she was like, well, I know where you're coming from. And I was like, how would you know what I'm talking about? You work for the taxis. You know, she works for the Glasgow taxis on the phones. And then I remembered, oh, my mum would know what I'm talking about. My mum was a hairdresser. That's how she met my dad. But then one day in the early 90s, just before I was born, my mum woke up one day and she was allergic to bleach. So she just couldn't be a hairdresser anymore because it was the 90s and everybody was getting, you know, highlights, you know? Like what do you do, Australian guy? What's your job?
I have a pub.
You have a pub? Imagine you woke up one day and you were allergic to drunk cunts, you know? Oh, you are? Fuck, man. You know, it would be tragic, wouldn't it? And it was tragic. And I was like, well, how did you deal with it? She was like, you just got to move on with your life and you got to find things to love about yourself that isn't your work, you know? And I was like, oh my God, this is fucking beautiful, man, you know? And I thought, okay, I've had a lovely chat with my mum about this. Ended up speaking to my dad, man, you know, and he's a hairdressing goth biker, you know? And I had to have a chat with him. He's old school, man. He's an old school guy. And I was really scared my dad was going to die during COVID. I was really scared because he's not exactly the best breather in town. You know? He's a wheezy guy. Like, do you know the penguin for Toy Story 2? He's like a wee wheezy guy up on the shelf, and he's like, like that's what my dad's like. He's asthmatic. Is that right? How would you say asthmatic? Just asthmatic sounds like a fake arse. Got the asthmatic if you want to try it. Like, just no. My dad's asthmatic, right? And he's even worse than that. A couple of years ago, he had pleurisy. You know, that's how old-fashioned he is. All his diseases are Victoria. You know? He had pleurisy, which is this weird illness where your lungs fill up with liquid, right? And he drained them, but the drainage left scarring. So he's like, you know, he's a terrible breather. And then who shows up in town? Fucking Johnny Coronavirus. The disease that kills cunts that can't breathe, right? I'm like, my dad's a fucking goner, man, you know? And then one of my friends' dads died just before COVID, and he said to me, do you know, one of my biggest regrets is I never told my dad I loved him enough. And I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm going to be the fucking difference here, all right? I'm going to break the chain of male suffering. I'm going to tell my dad I love him. So I went round my mum and dad's house again, another Chinese. That's pretty much all we do. And I showed up at the house. My mum went, you better go see your dad because he's in a bit of a bad mood. And I was like, fucking hell, man. This must be bad, because he's always in a bad mood. And I went through to the room. He was sitting there in a dressing gown. or a house coat, depending on what you call it. He was sitting there in his dressing gown, and he was watching Stargate SG-1. And I knew something was up. Because that's his happy place, you know? He was sitting with his arms folded. I was like, what's up with you? And he was like, I've been a hairdresser for 30 years, and now I can't even go to my work because of this fucking pandemic. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. He was one of the guys who refused to wear a mask, like a proper mask, so he would wear like a visor. It's like, you're not fucking welding, you know? The disease isn't sparks, like. And I don't think enough fuss was made about this. Why was nobody talking about the hairdryer during COVID? That thing was shooting hot air. It's like a ray gun. It's like a sci-fi hot disease gun. You know, I was worried about him, man, you know, and he was like, I'm fucking been a hairdresser for 30 years, now I can't even fucking do it. I don't know who I am anymore. And I was like, I'm in the exact same fucking boat. We had a great chat about it. And then I was like, I've softened him up, you know, a couple of body blows. Working the kidneys. You only have one kidney, but softening him up, man. Now I'm going to fucking tell him I love him. So after the Chinese, we were watching like Master Chef or something, and he was like, I fucking hate that bald guy in this. I was like, okay, he's feeling better. That's you know, and then I went to leave, and me and my girlfriend were leaving. Went up to my mum, gave her a cuddle, kissed on the cheek, went, love you, mum. And she went, love you. I went, all right. Went up to my dad, and didn't give him a cuddle, gave him a hug. It's very different. Cuddle's more like, you know, whereas this is more like diagonal. A hug's that's like a sash, you know, for a beauty queen, not the orange order, right? You know, a mayoral sash. I gave him that, and I didn't kiss him on the fucking cheek, right? I leaned into him, and I went, love you. And he just fucking shook like a wee bus. He went, hit me with a big and I was like, oh my god, that is just as good as an I love you, you know? Because I knew what he meant by that. He was vibrating so hard I could telepathically understand him, you know? He was like, you don't need to tell me you love me. I know you love me. I don't need to tell you I love you. What we do is, once you leave, I tell your mum I'm proud of you, and then she tells you, alright? It's an easy system, you know? Cut out the middleman, you know?